Yeah, no, excellent job, I think, by Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn, Vanessa Kirby, and the other one.
And the one from the bear. Cousin from the bear. Hello, and welcome to HAZMAT, the only show also known as the Terrible 2.
No, untrue. No one said that. What forums have you been browsing?
Our comment section.
Fucking hell.
Don't go
Fucking
down
hell,
there.
who said that?
Don't go down there.
No, who's fucking said that?
It's a bin
No,
fire.
I want to know. I want names.
We're coming
I want
for you.
fucking
We're
names.
coming. I'm Matt.
And I'm Harry.
And this is the monthly thing, the part of the show where we talk about every new film or series we watched in the last month, whether we recommend them, what we thought about them, and how we felt watching them.
I was real uncomfortable because I think from a good 20 to 25% we went through something like chronic diarrhea.
As always, we may get into some spoilery territory, so we will recommend up front, and then you can choose whether you want to carry on hearing what we have to say. To be honest, it's on you. You can do with this video what you like. You can skip around, or you can fuck around and find out.
I didn't like that last.
Sorry, that wasn't
You're
me.
always threatening people.
It's been a very threatening episode so far. We're not even into films yet. First up, Superman.
Da, 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 da.
A recommend from me.
Recommend from me, and you know what? It was a slow month for me. It was a slow. I didn't see an awful lot, but of what I did say, I'd say this is probably my favourite thing from the month.
Da, 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 da. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a recommend from me, is what I should have just said. I've just thought of that.
That's good. Just edit that in now.
I'll just
dub it over
quickly,
the top.
I'll clip that in beforehand, and then it'll be like I thought.
Don't even try and film anything to change. Don't
that'll
cut the footage. Put the footage as normal.
Yeah.
But mute it and then dub that in over the top.
It's just because it's a recommend. Yeah, I mean, I don't think either of us are historically massive Superman fans, but we very much enjoyed this.
Yeah, it's weird because normally I haven't been a massive Superman fan because he's just seemed like kind of boring as a character. He's like the prototypical superhero, the Boy Scout, the do-gooder. But James Gunn kind of found a way to make that work to his advantage, and I think a big part of that is coming off the back of the DCEU Superman and how kind of dark and serious that character was. So now to see it transform back to much more colourful and goofy and having like a heartfelt message did a lot of favours for this movie.
Yeah, I liked how vibrant and comic book it felt. It did feel very James Gunn. He's developed this directing style now of being very vibrant, very music based. Like the soundtrack is almost another character in it. It had all those hallmarks of a Gunn film. And yeah, like I say, I think that really did help make the character way more interesting to watch because he's almost flawed in this one in a way that I haven't really seen before. I mean, I haven't watched loads of Superman content over the years. I've been historically a Marvel boy. Yeah, so this is sort of my first proper foray into Superman, I guess, because in the same way I haven't been interested in him as a character, but this has changed my perspective. I liked it.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is kind of the exploration of taking a character who's so kind of ingrained in his belief system and then exploring the alternate views or the alternate interpretations of that. Right near the start you have the interview that Lois does with him as Superman, and how overly emotional he gets because he's so invested in this concept that he's here to be a protector, to save people. The concept of human lives being threatened is enough to make him act without any foresight or any consideration of sort of what the consequences of his actions might be, as long as in the moment I'm saving people.
Yeah, there's big political undertones, or overtones. They're pretty obvious
on the nose.
Throughout this, but yeah, it manages to weave that into the narrative very well. Superman he's kind of this messianic figure, isn't he, in media? He's the first superhero, he's the big one, but this film manages to capture the kind of human element of him, which I think is, to me personally, way more interesting. It does ground him in a way that I haven't seen a lot of superhero stuff in general do. And especially this character in particular. Yeah, laid out his morals and why he's doing this, rather than just seeing him do it all the time. There was so much in this film that was a lot of great dialogue scenes, a lot of great character moments. It wasn't just fight scenes and action sequences, hype moments and aura, as the kids say these days. It was much more than that, which I think is a James Gunn speciality, because I think Guardians has a lot of that as well. The characters are very fleshed out and just enjoyable to watch.
It's quite impressive because like there's always quite a big ensemble. The risk with that is a lot of characters kind of falling to the wayside or seeming less important. But I think, like with Guardians, you have all of these supporting characters. You have Green Lantern, you have Mr. Terrific, you have Hawk Girl, you have Elements Man, you have all these other characters coming in, and none of them feel like unimportant or like they're like afterthoughts. They're clearly defined and they're clearly established characters in their own right, which is cool because like I feel like that's adding to the identity of James Gunn as a director. There's certain things that you can pick out in his movies now where you've seen them before, and like that's kind of like a trademark of his now. I remember watching the Mr. Terrific fight sequence when they go to Lex's camp out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I thought this is like another version of the Guardians 2 opening, where it's kind of like the whole action is happening technically in the background, and we've got another character in the foreground that is the focus, and the fight's kind of happening around them.
Yeah, with another great needle drop as well, with the Noah and the Whale song 5 years time, because it was it Mr. Blue Sky and Guardians in that
Mr.
scene?
Blue Sky and Guardians,
Yeah, I think that's a good Gunn trademark, is like a light pop song juxtaposed against like you know, a violent fight scene. Yeah, the film, it felt full. The world felt full without feeling overstuffed. And I think, yeah, like you say, because all these characters had little screen time if you added it up, but they all have a great development. They've all got a little arc throughout. They all feel like they earn their place in this. And I think that's so important because this is kind of the kickoff of the new, like, DC universe. I don't know what they're calling it. Is it just the DCU? Was the last one the DCEU?
The last one was the DCEU.
Okay, because that was kind of all over the place with the TV shows and stuff as well. And I think they rebooted it about 3 times within the same like continuity.
Because the TV shows I don't think were directly connected to the movies because they call that the Arrowverse.
Oh, because that's like, I think they all crossovers, but that's separate. Right, okay. I mean, I haven't been following any of this, to be honest. But yeah, I think because this is like, essentially a pilot for what James Gunn is going to be doing going forward. I mean, we've seen it a bit with the Suicide Squad, or Suicide Squad, which one's which? I can't remember. Is it
the Suicide Squad is James Gunn's movie.
And Peacemaker, the TV show as well that he did. So yeah, we've had the flavour of what he's able to do with these characters. But yeah, this was the first proper kickoff to this new world he's doing, and I'm frankly interested. I'm going to be probably following DC for the first time in my life, and actually being interested in this world because it was great.
I feel like normally we don't put too much stock into the box office numbers and that. That's just, I think, the icing on top is that it was successful because the way the fucking cult of Snyder has responded to this movie.
Yeah, people are so passionate about this character, and like fair enough. And so I think there's two sides here of like everyone loved it and thinks it's a great new introduction and a great new fresh version of the character, and then there's the Snyder fans that are still holding on,
desperately wanted it to fail,
like review bombing it and stuff. But I think the reception has been strong enough that it's actually pushed back, like the genuine reception has been strong enough that it's managed to push back against it. I don't know if I'm just not in the right social media circles or whatever, but I've only kind of heard about the Snyder hate. I haven't seen that much of it. It's a testament to James Gunn's directing that this film has such an identity of its own in a time where the last few years a lot of comic book movies, superhero movies have felt very cookie cutter and very bland, formulaic. You know, it has become like the modern Western, I've heard a lot of people say, where they're just churning these things out. It's a nice breath of fresh air, and yeah, it's a good sign. Good sign for things to come.
Shout out to David Corenswet because he fucking smashed this with like everything going against him.
Yeah, it's big shoes to fill. I feel like you know it's like James Bond, Batman. Like there's like a pantheon of actors that play a certain character, and like it must be daunting to join those ranks, especially when some past actors are so well respected in the role, like Christopher Reeve and. There's another big one. Not Henry Cavill. People don't really like him.
Well, other than the Snyder Group.
Yeah, he's got his base. No hate to Henry.
He's not. I mean, we all know who the most hated Superman is at this point.
Who that?
Dean Cain.
Oh yeah, shit. He joined ICE.
Yeah, everyone fucking hates Dean Cain now.
Well, we know him from Aussie and It's Big Adventure.
Yeah, his magnum opus.
Yeah.
There was another Reeves, wasn't there?
Yeah,
Is it George?
Is it George?
George Reeves, I think.
Yeah, I think like OG. Yeah, there's it's one of those characters. It's like everyone's gonna do a different version of it, do their own thing with it, and I think David Corenswet did a great job here. He's such a charismatic guy. From interview clips I've seen as well, he just seems like a nice bloke.
He's a lovely guy. You'd love to buy him a pint.
Yeah, just hang out with him in the pub. Everyone in this was great. Rachel Brosnahan, I'm a big fan of her from the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel days. I always blank on his name, but whoever played Jimmy, I thought did a great job.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember.
I'll pop it on the screen. And nice to see Wendell Pierce here as Perry. A bit underutilized, but I'm assuming he'll probably, get more to do as this goes on. It is, it's, like we say, it's the first episode essentially, so you're not worried about not seeing enough of characters because down the road they'll have more to do.
I mean, Gary Oldman wasn't like massively in Batman Begins, but he gets like a bigger part going forward. So
exactly, we're not worried. Wendell Pierce, he'll get his moment. I know it. He's a side character, but he's got such a great presence. Everyone here, the Daily Planet crew, I think I would like to see like a show about them, just like the goings on at the Daily Planet. Like that, I think that'd be great. Great film. It's really drawn me into this world that I haven't really been that interested in before.
And a good message as well. Just being kind. Just being kind to people.
Be kind.
Be kind.
Being kind is the new punk
Help
rock.
people.
That's the message.
It's nice that it's turned the whole dialogue around of like back when it was the DCEU. There was like a lot of tribalism between like the MCU guys and the DC guys, and this is the movie that's kind of turned it around. Like it came out, and anyone that's like, and it's kind of the Snyder guys have become the de facto enemy, and then the DC and Marvel fans have kind of come together and be like, why can't we just be thankful that we're having like good movies from both sides coming out? Like we're just comic book fans. We're eating good right now.
Yeah. We're all just joining forces against a common enemy. Now. Like just this one little cult in the corner.
This is our end game.
Yeah. Because it was always DC chasing Marvel's tail, wasn't it? And they tried to build up something a bit too quick, and it just kept falling every hurdle. Yeah, hopefully they'll take the time with this one and just make each film good rather than chasing like a big finale.
Yeah,
fresh, exciting, good stuff. James Gunn, well done. Ooh, that rhymed. Fantastic Four. Oh.
Nope.
I usually say next time.
Fantastic.
Next up, Fantastic Four: First Steps.
First movie they've ever done of the Fantastic Four. So.
No, I'm not having. I know there's a lot of slander against those old ones, but they have a special place in my heart. And I think we need to rewrite the history like we did with the old X-Men.
Okay, but here's the question: is this the fourth Fantastic Four movie or the fifth?
There's the unreleased.
Are you counting one? That one?
No, because it's not released, right?
It was never released. It was done. It was made purely to keep the film rights to the characters.
Is that true? Is that why that?
That's the only reason they made it.
They just made it and didn't. But they did
the same. They did the same with Captain America. There's like a '90s Captain America.
Oh, I've heard of that. That's unreleased as well.
Yeah.
The hell was going on?
It's purely just to keep the film rights to the characters.
Did they tell the actors that, or were they just filming a film, being like, no one's ever going to see this?
They were getting paid regardless. I'm sure they didn't care.
I guess, yeah. The first pretty universally liked Fantastic Four film. We'll leave it at that, shall we?
Yeah.
A recommend from me.
And a recommend from me.
It's another one it feels like a fresh new step in a good direction.
A first step, if you would.
If you will. And you will. There's something that's happened in the water in the comic book producers universe.
Just for this month.
For this month. Where superhero movies are vibrant and unique again and have their own identity outside of the wider universe. This had such a great retro 60s feel to it. Yeah, it's stylized after a lot of the old comics and stuff. I think they managed to capture that really well. And I was a bit skeptical about the casting here, but I think they all pretty much knocked it out of the park. This was a likable team. I think one of the key things for Fantastic Four in particular is that they have to have good chemistry together because that's how they work as a group. And they're a family, so I think that's really important, and I think these guys really did. Yeah, no,
excellent job, I think, by Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn, Vanessa Kirby, and the other one.
And the one from the bear. cousin from the bear. Ebon Moss Bacharach, I think is his name. Great performances all around here.
It's a shame that I never remember his name, because I think The Thing might have been my favourite part of this whole movie.
Yeah, he managed to capture the kind of dry wit of the Thing, despite him being such a brute guy physically. I think he's always been the wittiest of the group sometimes, and Yeah, he's got this kind of dry humor about him.
He very much kept pace with everyone else. I feel like in the Chris Evans ones, he was the butt of the joke a lot of the time. It was mostly like Johnny Storm was kind of the funny one, doing like goofs and pranks and stuff, and he was kind of on the receiving end of that. Yeah, they felt like a family in this one, much more I think than either of the previous offerings. I think they felt much more like a close-knit family unit this time around.
Yeah, I think we really felt that history with them. I think because we sort of got the origin story explained, but the film wasn't the story of the film.
Yeah, sort of intro sequence.
Yeah, and I think that was a little plus for Superman as well that we didn't mention, is it's not the origin story, and I think that's why these two particularly feel fresh, is because we're getting a new interpretation, but we don't have to slog through the origin that we all know.
Yeah,
again.
we've all seen it. It's a thing of like, I think at this point now, the superheroes and comic book stuff is so ingrained in the zeitgeist that before, when they did remakes and reboots and that, they kind of had to do the origin story because they weren't as sort of well known or like so like in the pop culture, like front and center, that you kind of had to do it for the audience sake. But now they kind of treat it as people know this going in, like you're expected to do the reading ahead of time.
Yeah. You should know this going in. But they did do a little sort of exposition-y flashback video bit to sort of quickly explain that, and so I think we sort of felt the history of this family without seeing it all, and I think that really helped us feel kind of thrown into this world but connected like straight away, because we know these characters, and despite them being new interpretations, it felt like welcoming into the world of it, I think, and especially since this was in the canon, it was like a different universe, wasn't it? It was able to do fresh new stuff and not have to go through the rigmarole of like setting things up, it was able to just throw us straight in there.
What I will say is there's one thing that was lacking in this movie. There was just not enough stretching, I didn't feel. I feel like Mr. Fantastic does very little to showcase his powers throughout the movie. Everyone else...
So sorry. You're going to have to make that point again.
I feel like every other character kind of gets a big moment or gets like plenty of screen time in which it's showing off their powers and what they can do. Whereas like for Reed, he's not stretching enough. There's not enough stretching.
Yeah. I mean, I think it focused a lot more on his like smarts this time around. I think it focused on that half of his character. It presented him as being like a bit more awkward, neurodivergent, like that sort of side of the character. I think this Reed was a bit more like wholesome, family orientated, and they really put his smarts to the test. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, he didn't really get the stretching moment.
I feel like maybe they've come all this way and they still don't know how to do stretchy powers on screen without it looking gross.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think they've really nailed it,
because it is just why they changed like Miss Marvel's powers in the show, like in the movies, because she's a stretchy character, but they gave her more sort of weird light projection stuff in the movies.
I've never read a Miss Marvel comic, I'll admit it.
Yeah, I feel like that's true to his comic book character, in that like you talked about him sort of having that social awkwardness, the inability to read a room.
Read a room. The jokes for themselves.
It's reminiscent of like the panel that goes around a lot of time from one of the Fantastic Four comics of them like coming up with their names.
Oh yeah. And I'll be Mr. Fantastic.
And I'll be Mr. Fantastic. It's after like he goes like, I'm not a person anymore. I'm exactly what Johnny says I am. I'm the Thing, and I'll be Mr. Fantastic.
Although I did see someone point out that interestingly, I think when that was written, Fantastic meant way more like weird, like fantastical, like weird.
Oh, like sort of like kooky, like
so it's more likely it was named. They were named Fantastic Four not because they're brilliant, but because they're like
a
strange,
bit like oddball and
have these powers. So someone did point that out. So in that context, it's slightly more acceptable. But nowadays, it just looks like, and I'm Mr. Amazing.
I am the greatest man who ever lived.
Vanessa Kirby. We'll stop by her for a second.
Yeah,
we're going round.
Yeah, we're going back to Kirby. We've taken a right off of Yancey Street, and now we're coming to Kirby Town.
Big fan of what she did with the character here. Big emphasis on the mothering nature. I love that they kind of used that whole thing of, you hear about stories of mothers getting like adrenaline strength.
Yeah.
When their children are in danger, like there's just something chemically that happens. It sort of represented that in a way where she was able to really force her powers and go to her absolute limit to save Franklin. Yeah, I love how they explored her nurturing side. Her chemistry with Pascal here was just great. You know, they really sold being this sort of married couple that had been married for years and had all this history behind them and were really kind of settled. I think that was a big thing, is they felt like a settled family already.
Yes, yeah.
You know, they weren't like a thrown together group or anything like that, you know. I think they managed to have that homely feel.
I think they do such a good job of sort of developing and establishing them as a family unit. Maybe the villains here get a little bit thrown to the wayside. I think they're like solid, but a lot of that is carried by like the name value of the characters. I think going into a lot of comic book fans would already know like Silver Surfer and Galactus as quite powerful cosmic beings, and it's almost like relies too heavily on that fact, and I feel like there is not enough screen time for them, or like not enough development for them, kind of especially with the Silver Surfer character, how she is kind of affected and essentially does the old switcheroo and change aside because of one scene, really.
Yeah, I think it's a big criticism that I have about it, is it feels like it was edited to be shorter than it was maybe meant to be, and that maybe a couple of crucial things were cut out or re-edited, because there's like the kind of montage stuff near the beginning that kind of sets things up. I've heard that a couple of those were meant to be full action sequences, or it was meant to start with them defeating... What was the one they mentioned? Was it Red Monkey?
Is that right? It's Red Mask, I think, maybe.
Red Mask? Yeah.
I feel like that was a big actor as well that was supposed to be in that role, but I can't remember who it was that I saw.
But anyway, I think we were supposed to basically start with just seeing them do battle with like some villain, whereas it was just kind of offhandedly mentioned in the montage.
John Malkovich, I think it was.
John Malkovich.
I think it was John Malkovich. Yeah.
That's it's really odd. He was probably supposed to be in it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And Mole Man was kind of shoved in there. Is that what he's called, Mole Man?
The Underminer.
The Underminer, yeah. And so a couple of things I think get thrown by the wayside or mistranslated in the course of the editing here. It felt like they tried to make it as tight as possible. It's under 2 hours, which is rare for Marvel. I was quite surprised at seeing it's like an hour 50 something. So I think pacing wise, could have used a little work. I think there's a bit of development here that we missed, because whatever her name is, the Silver Surfer,
Julia Garner, or the character
Shalabal. I think she goes through that decision like off screen. Like there's presumably a scene of it happening, but she just kind of comes back.
They do the whole like him playing all the messages. She kind of freaks out and flies off, and then the next time we see her is her sacrificing herself.
The big moment.
Yeah,
you're just like, oh right, okay.
Which is a shame, because like you've got Julie Garner as Shalabal and Ralph Ineson as Galactus, who are both stellar actors, both stellar performers, and I just don't think they're utilised enough. Yeah,
I think Ralph Ineson is such a presence. I mean, he did a great job with Galactus here, but I think obviously being hidden under all that, like the suit,
the whole gear,
it sort of, I think, took away from the presence he just naturally has on screen. Like whenever you see him, he's got such a like gravitas. That's the word I'm looking for there. But I think he did a great job.
At least they didn't make him a big fucking cloud this time.
So overall, I think they did a great job with the team themselves. There's a couple of pacing issues around that, a couple of plot issues here, but another vibrant world that didn't feel as full, because presumably they're the only heroes around, and there's like a couple of villains. But a nice introduction to them, for them into the MCU. With this and the Thunderbolts, it's been a good year for Marvel, I think.
We ignore that other one. Ignore that other one. They did.
What other one?
They also did Captain America, so ignore that.
Did they?
Yeah, ignore that.
Must have completely missed it.
Must have completely missed that, as if it never happened.
Don't think I'm going to see that one. I did see that Indiana Jones one where he turned into the Hulk.
Yeah, he turned into the Hulk for some reason.
They've jumped the shark with that series now.
And also Papa Dog was there.
Yeah. Fucking clack. Next up, Jurassic World Rebirth. Jurassic World, they're back at it again, even though it's only been like 2 years since the last one.
Yeah.
Not a recommend from me.
No, it's a movie that is like fine, I guess, is the best you can kind of describe it.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's another Jurassic film.
It's not as bad as the last two have been, but at the same time, for a movie that's kind of been promoted, I guess, as like a new start or like a refreshing of the franchise.
A rebirth, if you will.
It doesn't
And you will.
do that at all.
Yeah, it is just another sort of bland installment. I mean, I just think we're at the point where what more can you do?
It's more of the same, yeah.
They're gonna just stomp around and eat people. I mean, they kind of had. There's a bit of a sort of experiment storyline here, experimentation, which we sort of vaguely predicted, doing a joke in one of our videos.
We did a gag and then they cut around with it.
Yeah, they must have heard it.
Yeah.
So they're sort of trying to reinvent a couple of things here and there. I have to say, I did like the cast of characters a bit more in this one, but they are very much more archetypes. They had kind of a ragtag crew.
Yeah.
There's the scientists and there's the mercenaries and soldiers, and then there's like the helpless family.
Mr. Moneybags.
Mr. Moneybags that turns out to be the villain. It's got it all. But yeah, I just wasn't really that attached to any of them.
No, there's some characters that are like have like sort of silly, funny moments, but yeah, there's not a lot of on-screen chemistry between anyone really. They're like everyone's character connection, I feel, is told to you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they were trying to do like a romance thing between Jonathan Bailey and Scarlett Johansson, or if it was just like a mutual respect friendship thing. Like there was a couple of moments where I was like, oh, are they gonna kind of get together? That doesn't seem like the vibe of either of them, but then they never really do.
I reckon it's probably one of those things where maybe they originally filmed or like wrote it to be that way and then changed their minds.
I mean, I'm glad they didn't go that way in the end, because I don't think those characters had that vibe between them. It was maybe much more of a, he's the outsider coming in and she's welcoming him to the team, and it's like, she's softer than she appears. Yeah, they had, a nice little friendship going, but yeah, other than that, there wasn't too much going on. The family were kind of annoying, especially the boyfriend. Hated that guy.
He's the best one.
I hope he got. I wish he got eaten.
No, it's a weird thing to think that the way it's written, it seems like the thing they were going for. If it's like it's her band of mercenaries and they're only in it for the money and they're willing to skirt rules and do whatever it takes to get their way and to get out and get paid, and he's the one that kind of comes in and is like a voice of like morality and ethics and kind of lets them see a different way of doing the right thing. But like Scarlett Johansson's performance never really gives off that kind of feeling around her character. She never seems like she's particularly cold and like unfeeling.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I usually like Scarlett Johansson and stuff, but I did feel in this, I don't know if it was like the direction or the character just wasn't very well written. Yeah, it was a bit hard to get a grasp of who she was supposed to be. Yeah, at times it felt like she needed to go further into that like cold-heartedness, but then yeah, maybe just have like the occasional softer side when she's, having like a chat with Jonathan Bailey's character. I mean, notice we don't know any of their names. No. We just know them by the actors, because it's that kind of film where like everyone is just like, oh, that's Scarlett Johansson. So yeah, the writing isn't super interesting around this group, which I think is an important part. These films, like, we joke about it just wanting to see the dinosaurs, but truly these films are about humanity and hubris, the hubris of humanity, how we just keep thinking we're bigger, more important than we are, and how, there's these creatures that ruled the earth before we did. That's sort of the vibe, and I think it's got a bit lost now. It's these diminishing returns, and we're just kind of getting like, whoa, big peaceful dinosaur, oh no, big angry dinosaur. And it's just kind of that over and over again. I think it's lost that human element that is what made the first one work so well. Is you really did care about Sam Neill and Laura Dern and whether they were together or not. And Goldblum getting his shirt off. Yeah. that was what you cared about.
Rich Attenborough eating all the ice cream before it melts.
By himself.
I feel like maybe they shouldn't have gone in the direction they did of like retconning everything within like the first 10 seconds and kind of going, oh yeah, the whole like dinosaurs becoming part of our ecosystem. Yeah, they all just kind of died off and now they only live in this exclusive group of islands around the equator. Because like they never really committed to that.
No.
Like even in Dominion, where like that was kind of part of the appeal, it seemed, they didn't really do that. They went out, and most of the movie kind of is about them going out to that lab and again being out in like a jungly kind of environment.
Yeah.
Like imagine the end sequence of The Lost World, but that's the whole movie.
That's like way more interesting.
That would have been like a way more interesting idea to do as a movie.
Yeah, because we've done the jungle thing now.
Yeah.
Fucking like 6 times. We don't need another one where they go to an island to look at dinosaurs for research and then almost get eaten. Yeah, I totally agree. I think they should have shown how dinosaurs have been integrated. They had a little bit at the start. There was sort of reference to some zoos or something that maybe still had some. There was that one that had like fallen over in the street or whatever. Stuff like that is like so cool, and I think they should have leaned into that aspect, see how they integrated, you know, maybe people on safaris and they're wallowing there with the elephants and things like that. Like, yeah, because that's what that montage at the end of Dominion did. But yeah, it's quite funny that they just went, oh yeah, those ones, yeah, they died. Yeah, they're gone. But back to the island. They're all on this one island.
We want dinosaurs rampaging around New York. That's what we've wanted from the start. What we wanted. It should have just been the 28 weeks of Jurassic World. Because that's kind of the movie where they go, oh, like,
what if it spread?
It's like we started re-establishing society, and we've the American military's come in, and we're sort of getting things back on track. Oh, and then it whoops, it's got inside, and now things are fucked again.
Yeah, I've not got much else to say. I think
I don't think it's the kind of premise that has the legs to. I feel like it shouldn't have made it as far as it has already. Like, I think it probably was done after about 2 or 3.
I'd argue 1.
Yeah.
And none of them have beaten the first one. They never will. It's lost the magic. It's lost, I think, what it was originally about, which is people. The dinosaurs are cool, but it's a series about people, and the people have only got less interesting as it's gone on. Yeah, they were just less annoying in this.
Yeah, I think we would have appreciated the first Jurassic World movie a lot more if they hadn't done 2 or 3, or 5 or 6 or 7.
Because that almost got the like, oh, they've made it work.
Yeah, it is the concept of like the what if movie of like, oh, what if we did this but it was actually successful and working, and then it goes wrong.
Yeah, if they just did that movie and then at the end they break out the zoo, and then
but now it's like a populated area, like
just have the first movie, have it end with the montage at the end of Dominion, cut out everything in between.
Yeah.
And just have that. And that's the finale and they called it Jurassic World because now they're out in the world. Guys, you should have got us in there.
We've just streamlined your whole franchise and made it like so people won't hate it as much.
Presumably they're going to do more, and I guess we have to watch them.
I guess we have to. We're locked in at this point.
We've come this far. Rebirth, more like another death.
More like refuse to watch.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, we'll go with that one. Next up, friendship.
That's just us hanging out for... You don't have to watch this. This is just hanging out. It's a montage of us hanging out.
A big recommend from me.
And another recommend from me. It's been good. It's been good so far, mostly.
We're 3 out of 4, I think, so far. For those keeping count at home, we are massive Tim Robinson fans in this house. We love I Think You Should Leave. Anything that man says is hilarious. He opens his mouth and I'm in tears. So this was just great.
We're massive Paul Rudd fans in this house. We love Dinner for Schmucks. We love Anchorman. Anything that man says is just in movies, so...
And I'm in tears.
I'm in tears, but for the wrong reasons.
And we're big Kate Mara fans in this house as well. But not as big. Yeah, I love this movie. It's just a big Tim Robinson sketch, really, isn't it?
It does seem that way.
Got
it's
that vibe.
I think we both there were kind of like shocked at the fact that we came to the end of the credits roll and that he didn't write and direct it.
Yeah, it's not him. I mean, he presumably had a hand in it. It's definitely written for him.
Yeah,
he's presumably on the producing team here. But yeah, I assumed it was a Tim Robinson vehicle, but I guess it's someone emulating his style very well and giving him enough room to do what he does. Yeah, I just love that it's got like the non sequiturs that a Tim Robinson sketch always has, where like the beginning and the end are 2 completely different scenarios. Like just random shit happens. Like, why did his wife get lost in the sewers? At one point, like, what the fuck? It's like it's a film about like...
No, that was integral.
It does become like a massive part of the plot. I really wasn't expecting it. But yeah, this film about the breaking down of a new friendship between Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd, who are just great on camera together, and then just becomes like a manhunt for his wife, and then like his marriage starts breaking down, and it's just so brilliant. It's like almost stream of consciousness plot wise. Yeah, I think Tim Robinson is one of the only people that can sell this stuff, and I think he delivers stuff with such sincerity that I think is just why a lot of his jokes work, is because he's just so adamant about it.
Yeah, I've seen it like described as cringe comedy a lot. It's kind of, the joke is that there isn't a joke.
Right.
It's that the character involved with how like outlandish and antisocial the behavior is, but they see it as completely normal, and like you said, are so genuine and sincere in like their delivery, and it's such like a hallmark of the Tim Robinson style of like that whole thing with you just said with them getting lost in the sewers. Like as soon as you think you know like what the punchline is or like where it's going, it makes a drastic U-turn.
Yeah.
Like you never quite know how, like at what point it's going to end, or like what direction they're suddenly going to veer off into.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a bunch of stuff that happens, and that's what I mean. That's why it's so similar, I think, to his comedy, is because his sketch work does very similar stuff where you never know what the punchline's going to be. It never goes where you think it's going to go. I think it's why he's so unique as a comedian. It's not like satirical really, because it's not really about anything. It's just like insane scenarios that are passed off as just normal events in these characters' lives. But like we say, because there's such a sincerity about it, you're just in this world and you're like just accepting these very surreal things happening, but in such a normal environment.
There's definitely like elements of like satire parody in his work sometimes. Like he's able to frame things in a way that like are very reminiscent of stuff we've seen. There's the sketch we like go back and watch all the time with him on the dating show, and like the way that's framed is exactly like the kind of thing you'd see on like something like The Bachelorette or like that kind of show. But the actual joke that he runs with is basically nothing to do with like that format.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that could have been done in any kind of scenario.
Yeah, he makes that work because it's just so out of left field and not what like a lot of other comedians would have done with that premise. His comedy is so special to me. It's got a special place in my heart. It's very influential, I think, to us and our humour. And just to see a full film of it and to have that work and be sustained through a film with a narrative, I think they managed to balance it well.
Yeah, because conceptually, like this movie, at its basis, like form, should be like a drama or like even a horror at times.
Like a psychological thing.
Like the way it comes off. I think it helps a lot that Tim Robinson himself is quite a funny looking guy.
Yeah.
Like because like certain scenes in this, I think like that's framed like it should be in like a weird psychological horror. Like I feel like there's part where he's just kind of like he's about to leave and then he comes back and he's sort of like half in the door frame, like looking back at his wife, and he does it several times. Okay, yeah, like that in other contexts, like that would be kind of weird and
anyone else
but
doing
because
that.
It's him.
Yeah, he manages to sell things that I think other actors or comedians wouldn't be able to sell in the same way. And I think Paul Rudd managed to kind of match the energy here.
Yeah.
You know, I was expecting him to be much more the straight man, but he had his own ridiculous moments. There's like the whole wig storyline that goes on, which I thought was really funny. They gave him such funny material as well that I think he does really well with.
It's like an interesting concept of like he's kind of framed as this character who's very cool and charismatic and everyone likes him. Yet the stuff that he's doing is almost just as weird.
Yeah.
Where, like he's out like foraging mushrooms out in like the wild. He's going like wandering through the sewers and finding secret entrances into buildings.
Yeah.
He's like in his fucking like 30s or 40s playing in like a punk band.
Yeah, but he's meant to be like the cool friend that you follow around, and like he's like all hippie about not having a phone, and then later on he's like, of course I have a phone. What are you talking about? Yeah, there's just all these random again, it's like non sequiturs. It's just stuff that doesn't matter, but it just is so funny and just happens.
It almost seems like it's the kind of thing that came about because some of Tim Robinson's sketches are like so long and drawn out and just have all these like weird little U-turns and stuff, almost seems like the kind of movie that came about if he went like, oh, I wonder if I could do like just a sketch that is a feature length.
Is like 90
He
minutes.
like challenged himself to,
Yeah.
to drag it out drag the joke out for that long. He's almost like the exact opposite of Dwayne Johnson in that like he is adamant that he is going to be the butt of the joke, or like he's going to be on like the downswing all the time.
I think that's what's great about his comedy is he's never the one winning. I think that's important. It's a big criticism I have about Ricky Gervais's new stuff. I know that's a random person to bring up, but a lot of his like Afterlife, a lot of his new stuff has him winning arguments when he's written it, and it's like it comes off as really braggadocious, disingenuous, whatever. Like if you're writing it, you almost have to punch up, but also be the butt of the joke as well. Like that's what makes a lot of comedy work. If you're writing the script and you're the cool one that's winning, like it doesn't really come off. It doesn't make you come off very well.
Yeah, there's like a nice balance in that. Like there are some sketches where he is the one where like people side with him, but it's always over something that's either like completely like non-consequential or like is so ridiculous that it's funny that people would side with him.
Yeah, it's usually just so they're like as insane as he is.
Yeah,
and, like the jokers are like all of them, and like all the scenario. Yeah, big fan. Can't wait to see what he does next. Hopefully we'll get another series of I Think You Should Leave soon.
Yeah. You just never stop working on them.
Yeah. But yeah, this is great. This is one of my films of the year. It's not quite my best of the month. Second best of the month if we're doing that. Probably. I think it's my second best.
Comedy's back. We're so back. Comedy's back.
Comedy's so bad.
Comedy's so bad.
Can't believe it. It's made a return. Next up, The Ballad of Wallis Island. Speaking of best of the month, this is my best of the month.
Yay! No one was speaking of it. You can't do that segue, but yay!
Well, we were speaking of second best of the month.
That's not the same. That's not.
That's
the
completely
same.
different.
That's not the same.
I mean, it goes without saying now, but yeah, recommend. Fully recommend. Love this. A heartfelt comedy from the minds of Tim Key and Tom Basden, starring both of them and Kerry Mulligan alongside them. And it's about an eccentric lottery winner who invites a folk duo that have split up to his private island that he lives on, and not a private island, it's like a remote island, to do a gig that they find out is just for him. So yeah, it's a nice heartfelt comedy. It managed to match the emotion with the comedy, which I think is something I always love, that kind of balance. So yeah, Tim Key is playing the eccentric lottery winner here at the center, and he plays it with such like heart on top of the comedy. Like he's such an awkward, like weird guy, which he's always great at playing, but there's kind of a sadness behind him that kind of comes out through the plot. He just manages to play that well. I think it's nice to see him in a funny, but like he has like serious moments here and there. Tom Basden and Kerry Mulligan play the folk duo here. Everyone's just got great chemistry. They wrote like an album of songs for this. Like they wrote like an actual folk album, like all the songs that they do, and it's sort of a Simon and Garfunkel, Fleetwood Mac kind of vibe. It was all written by Tom Basden, and it's just kind of like nice folk music. There's nothing kind of super groundbreaking about it, but I think that kind of adds to this love that Tim Key's character has for them, because it turns out it's about his connection with his wife that passed away, and like there's all this emotion around that, how music connects to people. It can be to someone just bland folk music, but to someone else it could be the most important music in the world. And I think it works really well that the songs are just nice and average in their way to any other listener, but we're drawn into this world, and so we get kind of attached to the music because of the memories that these characters have with them and what it means to them. And on top of that, it's just bloody hilarious, to be honest. Not too much else to say, even though I really loved it. It was just great. Great all around.
Sometimes that's the case, is you like something so much. Like sometimes it is just a feeling.
I felt it in my chest, this film. I felt it. It's got like that classic kind of British feel to it as well, because it's such a British cast and team here. It felt so small but so important, which, as you guys know, I like these grounded stories. What else can I say? Ballad of Wallis Island. Check it out if you haven't. It was good. It was great. No, tell you what, it was fantastic.
Next up, Bring Her Back. Another 3-word horror movie by the same directors.
They love the 3 words.
That's their whole gimmick. That's their whole gimmick now. They're tied to it.
It's always an order as well.
Yeah, it's always a command.
Talk to me.
Command
Bring her
phrase. Yeah. This is a recommend from me. Yeah, we didn't make it obvious. By the same directors of Talk to Me, which I think came out in, what was it, like 21, 22? We both watched that and quite liked it.
Yeah, it's good.
I think they're quite good at the whole metaphor thing. So we watched Talk to Me, which is obviously interpreted as a metaphor for like addictive behavior and the consequences that fall out from that. And Bring Her Back is a movie about grief and loss and sort of the unhealthy behaviors and results of failing to handle that in the appropriate way. They seem to have a bit of a thing as well in that, like, cast wise it's usually sort of more up and coming, lesser known talent, and then just one like recognizable actor. It was like Miranda Otto in Talk to Me, and then you've got Sally Hawkins this time around. I think they use like a lot of local, like Australian, I think it is Australian, isn't it? It's like Australian talent they use.
So.
Yeah.
I feel like horror's a good kind of training ground for like young actors. I feel like a lot of them come up through
they
like,
cut
the
their
horror
teeth
genre.
in horror, yeah, before going on to be in the Marvels.
Yeah.
Sally Hawkins is fucking terrifying at times in this. She does such a good job of playing this character who, on the surface, is just like the sweetest person you could imagine, and then is kind of harboring this dark secret. So this is a movie about a teenage girl and her older brother, who the inciting incident for them is that their dad passes away, and because he's not old enough to take legal guardianship of her, they have to go and stay with this foster parent, and it just all sort of spirals from there, because both sort of sides of these characters are experiencing their own kind of grief. Like, it's these two sort of young kids who just lost their father, and they're processing that. It's like affecting them in different ways. The younger sister has like a visual impairment, which kind of comes into play a bit later on. Like, so the way she's experiencing things is completely different in that she can't really make things out properly. I think she says she can only sort of make out like shapes and light. So she never really kind of experienced the world and connected with the father the same way that the brother did, so it kind of hits him a lot harder. Whereas with Sally Hawkins' character, she lost her daughter in an incident and is doing this whole crazy ritual she's found out about to try and resurrect her in a different body, which is kind of why she agrees to take the girl in the first place. She's like, hey, here we go. Here's like a girl who's roughly the same age as the girl I lost. It's like perfect vessel to kind of to bring her back.
You don't think?
You don't. Oh, that's clever. That's clever for the right. There is some like real kind of gnarly, hard to watch stuff in this, and that's coming from me, who's like seen almost everything that horror has to offer. There is some just really like wince-inducing, gross stuff that happens in terms of the violence in this, but it's more about sort of the bond between the siblings and how they're being driven apart by this manipulative woman who's kind of trying to work them into a position where her ritual will work, and she kind of does that by driving a wedge between them and appearing all nice and supportive on the surface, but then has this much more sort of gaslighting and manipulative side to her. And the moment sort of towards the end of the film where it seems like she's going to get exposed, and she plays like the part of like having a proper like a desperate breakdown so well and so convincingly. Like, props to her at like during some of those sequences, because she is fucking just distraught. She plays distraught so well. And that's part of like the emotion. Like, it's a weird twisted version of Fantastic Four in a way, because it's about like the lengths that a mother will go to protect their child, but in the most like dark kind of interpretation of that. Yeah, there's not too much to say. Like, it's a good horror offering that doesn't rely on sort of cheap jump scares and like over the top sort of violence. So there's some violence, but it's so grounded and so realistic that it has an effect on you, like as it's supposed to do. Because I think that's one thing that's in horror especially is like overused a lot of the time. They think we'll just go like all out with the violence and like that'll make it good, but it's more like how it's presented and like how it looks visually, and like the imagery and like sticking in your mind is what makes it effective. So yeah, another good offering, and like hopefully they're planning on doing more stuff going forward, because it's always good to have sort of new emerging talent, especially in the horror genre where there's like a lot of shit. So to have like some consistently good new faces in making good stuff, big thumbs up. Always nice to see.
Next up, The Other Way Around. A pretty solid recommend from me here. I enjoyed this. So this is a Spanish film set in Madrid, I believe, about a long-term couple who are going through a mutual breakup and have decided to throw a party to celebrate their breakup, much to the detriment of all the people in their lives going like, what are you talking about? People don't do that. So it's a fun exploration of celebrating endings rather than, we always celebrate beginnings as a society or anniversaries of things, but we rarely celebrate the endings of things. I guess graduation is an example.
Clapping when the plane lands.
Clapping when the plane lands, when the film ends. But even things that are sad, like a breakup. Just this kind of nice idea of remembering what once was, I guess. It has the same vibe as, when you go to a funeral and people are like, we're celebrating his life, we're not mourning his death.
It's not
it's that sort of vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's the film sort of is mostly them inviting people to this party, and like all the people in their lives, their friends, their family members, and all of these people just going like kind of like, huh, what? But kind of getting it. And they've clearly been a couple for a long time before the film starts, and so everyone's quite surprised they're breaking up. But what's interesting about this film is the two central characters are both filmmakers and are seemingly making a film about what they're going through. And so the editing becomes quite quirky, and there's almost this kind of meta-narrative under it all, to the point where it's hard to tell what's part of the film they're making and what's part of the film we're watching, and whether that even is two separate films at all. If we're seeing some kind of final product here, we're getting given kind of a behind the scenes of what they're making, and it all sort of ends up blending together. But I quite like the ambiguity of it that they managed to pull off. So yeah, that was just a fun way to tell this story, because narratively, like, not much happens. Like I say, it's mostly them introducing this idea to people, then obviously it culminates in the party, and yeah, just what they go through to plan and what they're having to do to separate from each other. There's the whole, what do you do with what bits of furniture, and like all that classic stuff through a breakup. So yeah, just a fun exploration of endings rather than beginnings, and what it can mean to celebrate something sad. Yeah, just a fun, quirky film, I thought. And it was a fun time. It was quite funny, It was I guess a unique take on a rom-com is kind of what it is at its core.
If I made a movie called The Other Way Around, it would be 2 hours of just it'd be a singular shot of someone coming in, sitting down on the chair, and then just looking at the screen. Because now they're the audience and you're having to do the movie.
Fox. He's bloody done it again. He's bloody done it again.
It's genius.
How does he do it?
It's genius.
I say again, I don't know what the other time is. Next up, hot milk.
Gross. That means semen, probably.
Oh. Well, it's about a lesbian relationship, so probably not.
That's bullshit.
That's the only thing that isn't involved.
That's bullshit.
Unfortunately, this is not a recommend from me. I really wanted to like this film because I liked the vibes.
I really wanted to like this film because I like lesbians.
Listen, I love lesbians. Yeah, this is a film starring Emma Mackey and Fiona Shaw as a mother and daughter who have moved to a coastal Spanish town, Spain again, strangely, to get the mother some special treatment. And then Emma Mackey's character ends up having a sordid love affair with a German girl that happens to be in the same town, and they end up being very on and off, and it's very complicated and lots of feelings get hurt. And yeah, so the sort of vibe is there of a good story, but I think it's let down by it being not sure what it wants to be. I think there's moments of this that are almost psychological and surreal. There are moments where it's like a romance, there's dramatic elements, comedy. It's got a lot in the melting pot, and I think it just didn't manage to grasp onto something enough. Its identity gets a bit lost here. So yeah, I think that lets it down. It just felt not unfinished, but maybe uncooked. Not cooked enough.
Or maybe it is cooked. The movie's fucking
It's
cooked.
fucking
This movie's
cooked.
fucking
It's
cooked.
cooked. I really like what Emma Mackey did with her central performance here. She plays her character quite stoically, apart from these like outbursts very occasionally, which are sort of quite cathartic, I guess, as an audience member. She spends a lot of the film of kind of rage and sadness bubbling up inside her because she's kind of stuck with this ailing mother that, you know, there's a lot of drama and tension between them and their situation. And then there's this whole affair going on with this girl who is a very free spirit and is involved with other people, and that's kind of where the drama and conflict comes from there. So yeah, I thought Emma Mackey carried the central performance in this very well, and Fiona Shaw as the mother did a great job here as well. But yeah, there's just something about this that didn't quite add up enough. You know, there's a lot of elements I liked here, but the whole didn't work for me. It's based on a novel, and I haven't read the novel, but you know, whether they captured the vibe of that, I don't know. I think maybe they should have leaned into the more surreal side of it, because that's kind of the bit I enjoyed the most. So that's why it's ended up being not a recommend from me. I just left feeling a bit like a bit disappointed. Like I say, there was a lot of elements, so I was rooting for it, but yeah, it didn't add up enough for me. More like Hot Mess. Sorry, I wrote that down. I genuinely wrote that down in my notes. I forgot to say it. I wrote more like Hot Mess.
Get a good take of it and just dub it and dub over.
Just like we did at the start.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do a lot of dubbing in the editing studio for this one.
Yeah, next up, The Bad Guys 2. This is the most I've ever been torn on whether something is a recommend or not.
That's crazy because it's The Bad Guys too.
Yeah. I'm going to say not a recommend, but for absolutely like not like a negative with the film itself, really.
You didn't like the advert with Mark Maron and Aquafina?
Oh no, I love that advert. I love that advert. Cineworld, more like Winterworld, baby.
Am I right? I actually wrote that down. I wrote Cineworld, more like Winterworld. I didn't say it. Can I quickly do that?
Please. I need
to get it in.
No, I would say the major factor that keeps this from being a recommend is it essentially has the same message as the first one, just told in a slightly different way. Because the overall kind of message with these movies, with like the characters, they specifically chose this to be a crew of like animals that generally have negative connotations around them. You've got a wolf, you've got a snake, you've got a tarantula, you've got a shark, and you've got a piranha. So they're all kind of classic in life. Like, generally speaking, they all have very like negative vibes, and like the kind of message that these movies are pushing is the idea that like, oh, you can be like more than people expect you to be, with the major conflict kind of being, you know, they're told, oh, like no matter how much you try to change, people are always going to see you as monsters, people are always going to see you as villains. And then kind of the overall message you're supposed to be leave with is actually like, regardless of your past, like your past offenses or like who you have been, like you can always change and become better. Yeah, they kind of do that again in the second one. So the first movie kind of ends with them turning over a new leaf. They stop being the bad guys and become the good guys instead. Decide that they're going to give up a life of crime and do things the right way and just integrate into society. And that's where we kind of pick up with this movie.
They didn't call it The Bad Guys 2, The Good Guys?
No. And they call it The Bad Guys too because people still see them as bad guys. They have to they're, you know, just because they stop the whole big plot in the first one, there's still these like prejudices around of people expecting them to be the bad guy. And that's kind of where the movie centers around, is we get a new crew of villains who start off their own crime wave and use them as scapegoats because they're like, hey, people will still kind of see you as being capable of doing all this stuff even though you've changed. Like, people won't think you've really changed, or will just use you and like put all the blame on you. I'm sure like kids will get like a kick out of this movie. I enjoyed watching it. Like, it's an enjoyable film. All the sort of the original guys are back, like Sam Rockwell, Anthony Ramos, Awkwafina, Zazie Beetz. They're all here. The one thing I'll give these movies like proper credit for is they are doing the right thing with like the way the art direction seems to be going a lot of these modern animated films. I know I've seen a lot of people complaining online about the bean mouth syndrome that like especially like Pixar seems to be going through in the moment. Like their art style and their character model seem to take on a bit more of a simplistic, cartoony kind of look. And DreamWorks got the memo of like the whole reason you do that is because it's then easier for you to do real crazy stuff with these characters and like have like real fast pace, over the top action and movement and motion. Whereas for Pixar it just seems to be like, oh, this is just the art style we're doing, but we're not going to like exploit it or like take advantage of that. It's going to look and move kind of the same as it always has, but it's just the characters are kind of changing how they look. Yeah, these movies are so fast paced in like their action sequences, whenever they do like chases or like fight scenes or anything. It's kind of like Kung Fu Panda just dialed like way up. Because Kung Fu Pandas are already crazy. Yeah, they have some big like action sequences, but like these are just insanely fast paced with their action. A lot of like crazy way the characters moves and just like fly around and like fucking stretch and bend around corners and stuff.
Did you see it in 4DX?
No, I should have done it, but like probably would have killed me. They have real good soundtracks as well, these movies. They kind of combine a lot of like jazz motif, which you'd expect from like crime capers. And they just like they take that and they modernize it, and it's very, very cool. Like the soundtracks are always good, and they're quite sharply written. I feel like a lot of the jokes kind of play off, even though like a lot of them are ruined by watching trailers again. I think comedies hit like harder than any other genre when it comes to trailers, because you just go and like, oh, this isn't as funny as I thought it would be. But yeah, because you already know what the joke is.
You have to show some of the funniest ones to get people there in the first place, and then it's gone. Yeah,
but yeah, not a lot to say, but it's like it's good. It's a good movie. It's like it's fun to watch. You're not going to be bored. Animation's great. Heartfelt message. Everyone like plays their roles well. It's just that it's kind of it falls into that sequel category of kind of it's more of the same. They don't really take any like drastic steps or develop too much on what they had. It's kind of just, here's another movie of the same characters doing the same sort of stuff. So that's why it doesn't get a recommend, but like by no means do I think it's bad.
That's fair. Next up, The Old Guard 2. You know what? Weirdly enough, I'm torn as well. Which usually if I'm torn, I veer into not recommend, because I'm like, if I'm not sure, it probably doesn't deserve a recommend. So I'm going to go with not recommend, purely because I liked the first one a lot. And this one manages to expand on the mythos and the lore of this series, but it's just a very unfulfilling film. If you haven't seen The Old Guard, it's about a group of immortal warriors that are sort of secretly protecting humanity. You know, it's a classic Wolverine-esque thing. If they get shot, they get back up. That sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Which is always fun. I always like immortality storylines. I like seeing what people can do with that, because you always have to do the stakes in an interesting way, because it's like, well, our characters can't die. So it's like, that's gone.
So what's the consequence?
Yeah, it's like you can trap them, or there's like other ways you have to work around those conflicts, which I think always makes for some interesting writing. Conceptually, I really love it. First one's great. It's at their core, they're action films with a bit of more of an interesting premise. Charlize Theron leads the ensemble here, and she does a great job. But this second one, like I say, it expands on the mythos and adds a few more immortal figures into it, and kind of goes back into the history of why they're the way they are, and like, you know, what's been kind of happening through the centuries, because some of them are like centuries old. And I like the use of flashbacks and showing them in different time periods. I always like that in storylines as well, when people are just really old and have been through like centuries, decades of different, you know, eras. But that's kind of where the interest stops plot wise for this one. It's a bit ridiculous. The action sequences just aren't directed as well in this one. They're very hammy and very choreographed. Like, you know, when you watch a fight sequence and you can see the choreography, like you can see them like hoo ha hoo, like you can see them counting.
They're hitting their marks.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't seem as natural as the first one did. I think the action sequences in the first one were generally done pretty well. You know, mate, I love a film with a good ragtag crew, and the crew is very ragtag in this. In that, you know, they've all got each other's backs and they're like a little found family together. But there's kind of less of that in this, because they're all a bit more split up, and there's kind of other immortal beings brought into the mix here. It kind of messes with the dynamic a little bit, which, you know, should make for some interesting plot. But unfortunately, yeah, just a lot of this film just falls flat. And here comes my biggest criticism. It ends on a massive cliffhanger. And in fact, not just like a cliffhanger as in like, oh, that's a good setup for the third one, like a few threads left dangling here. No, it just doesn't have a third act. They just didn't finish it. It didn't finish. I thought it had like 10 minutes to go, and I was like, there's no way they're wrapping this up. Like, in this amount of time. Like, what the hell? Like, half the characters get, like, kidnapped by the villain.
Yeah.
And then that's the point in the film where it's like, oh, Charlize Theron is still free. There's another character here. They're going to go and rescue them. Sorted. Well, they can't do that in 10 minutes, can they? Surely. No, it just ends, and then the credits. So I was like, I see what's happened here. I see what's happened here. The film 2 and 3 together. A lot of things do this, you know. They do a couple of sequels at the same time, and it's like one big story, kind of. You know, Pirates of the Caribbean did it.
I was gonna say, like, more recently, like Spider-Verse,
Squid Game. You know, it's like a part 1 and part 2 kind of. So I was like, they'll be releasing 3 like next year probably. Not even confirmed yet. They haven't even confirmed they're doing a third one. Charlize Theron is quoted as saying she doesn't know.
Well, it's an interesting concept of like we're gonna end it on a cliffhanger, so now you have to greenlight it.
Yeah.
Not done.
Maybe
now
that's the
have
vibe.
to give it to us.
But yeah, so I hope they do a bloody third one to finish the bloody storyline. I can't exaggerate how much it's just not finished. It ended in Act 2. The fuck? And that's the main reason it's not a recommend. But I was torn because, you know, there were some good things here, and I like these characters enough that I think it carried the film through the flaws with it. So, you know, I'll be tuning in for a third if they do a third one, which hopefully they do. It's a big if, and it's a big if.
The operative word there.
And it is quite funny looking on things like Letterboxd, Rotten Tomatoes, seeing the drop off in terms of like score here. Like, this one was not well received at all. Yeah. I think it tried to expand on it, and it could have been a lot more interesting and engaging than it was. So yeah, The Old Guard 2. Do.
Don't dub that one. Actually, dub over something.
I'm actually going to cut that one out.
I'm going to cut that out and dub it over with something better.
Like bird noises or something.
Yeah.
Tweet. Next up, Dept Q.
Oh yeah, the musical, the puppet musical.
That's the one.
That's the one.
A pretty solid recommend from me. So this is a new drama detective series from Netflix. Surprisingly good for a Netflix original. They're pretty hit and miss these days. So this is based on a series of Danish novels, I believe, but they've kind of adapted it and brought it over here to the UK and set it in Edinburgh. It's about a new department within the Edinburgh police force that investigate cold cases, so cases that have gone unsolved for several years. So this series is about the first case they go through, and it sets up the mystery really nicely. There's a really good bait and switch in episode 1 here, which sets up kind of where the mystery and the plot is going to take them and what case it is they're investigating. It unfolds it nicely. The plot twists are well placed, and it just does a solid job of unfolding it. It kind of just goes where you think it's going to go, you know, with a few sort of character based plot twists here, and you know, about why this character has gone missing and what happened to her, and like it gets a bit muddy around the middle in terms of like a lot of names and information and characters are just being talked about in the way that a lot of these detective dramas do. You know, they're finding out information and interrogating people, and so there is a lot of scenes of just people telling them things. So it, like, there's bits where it's sort of hard to get your head around. You get a bit lost in the details, but in hindsight, like, a lot of it makes sense. You're like, oh, that was that. That was that. And, you know, they do those reveals nicely. The main detective here, Carl Mork, is a very House-esque character, I would say. It's a classic archetype of, like, oh, he's an annoying dickhead, but he's brilliant, so we have to, like, keep him on. You know, he's really sarcastic, quite mean to people around him, but he's got a heart, you know. He cares. He does care about the people in his life. He might not show it, but he does.
He's a grouch on the outside, but he's got a heart of gold.
Exactly. And Matthew Good plays that archetype really well. You know, it's a bit of a cliche at this point. It's hard to kind of reinvent that role, but I think he does a pretty great job here of making this character likable, despite the fact that he's just a bit of a dickhead to everyone around him. And there's this kind of once again ragtag crew, say it with me, folks, surrounding him as this department gets a bit more built up with people keep getting kind of sent down there to solve these cases with him. It's got kind of a gothic vibe to it almost, like the backdrop of kind of a gloomy, rainy Edinburgh, I think really creates this interesting, dark atmosphere to it. Yeah, I think it all came together in a pretty solid series. I'll be tuning in for series 2 if they make it. Hopefully they do.
Not confirmed, not greenlit.
Unfortunately, not confirmed. They haven't even
Ended
told
on a
Charlize
massive
Theron about it.
cliffhanger.
I asked Charlize Theron. She has no idea if they're making season 2. And last up, Squid Game season 3. A very solid. Well, actually, no. Not a very solid recommend. A recommend, though.
Yeah, I recommend. Not as strong as the previous two, but I think still good. Still good.
I mean, if you've seen the first two, probably just watch this one. Finish it.
Yeah,
you know.
This is a recommend for fans of the series already.
I'm not recommending it to anyone who
finish it.
has never seen Squid Game. It would be really insane to start on this episode.
Yeah,
a little bit weaker. There's some weak points to this series. I think final series are always hard. There's a lot of shows out there where the final season is considered the worst. Endings are difficult, especially to a series that has been so strong thus far and has been ramping up the tension. And yeah, it was interesting to see if they would land it or not. And I think in some aspects they did, and there's other aspects where things were left, a bit unresolved or just seemed a bit pointless in the end. There's a couple of storylines here that didn't quite land for me.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between like sometimes you can leave stuff unresolved in a good way.
Yeah.
Which certain, I think, things they did made sense because for the kind of message that the show is pushing, and then there's other things that it's kind of like, oh, we just sort of forgot about that, or that didn't really mean anything in the end. That was kind of just giving that character something to do. I don't think it helped the reception of this season in specific too much that not too long after it came out, there was another piece of media set around Korean culture that kind of just exploded in popularity and took a lot of its thunder away.
Oh, the Demon Hunters.
Yeah, that Jesus.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was interesting timing, I guess.
That absolutely blew up recently.
That is something I noticed. I don't know if it was just I was avoiding spoilers kind of as I was watching it, but there's been a lot less buzz than I thought there would be about the final season of Squid Game, considering season 2 I feel like was everywhere.
Yeah, I think obviously the first one was hugely popular.
Yeah.
Season 2 managed to keep a lot of that momentum.
I think because it was the comeback after 3 years.
Yeah,
or whatever,
and then for the third one, it just, I don't know if it was marketing or that interest just died. It didn't seem that people were super excited about finishing it or.
And I think maybe
seeing how it all resolved.
I think a lot of people were quite critical about season 2. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
but I think maybe some people dropped off at that point, didn't like it as much. It is very much a show that could have been one season, but obviously Netflix wanted to milk the popularity of it because I think the writer has said he didn't think of doing a season 2, I think, when they first made it. So yeah, there is that kind of sense in this final season of, oh, did they stretch this a little bit too far here? But there's a lot of good stuff in this. I liked the final couple of games they managed to get in here. I was wondering how they would do a final season. I was wondering if it would be more towards the end of the Hunger Games, where it's not really about the game anymore. It's about the revolution and bringing down the authorities. And I thought it'd be maybe that sort of vibe, but no, they managed to somehow get them back and do actual games again, which it was, I guess, a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting it, so it was cool from that side of things. But I think it just got to that point where all the interesting characters were getting bumped off, which is natural for what the premise of the show is. But I mean, that hide and seek game, man, they got rid of so many.
And that was arguably the best game that they've done in all the series.
Yeah, it was super. That episode is one of the best, I think, in the series.
It's between that and Marbles, I think. Marbles was devastating in a completely different way.
Yeah.
Whereas this seems much more an exploration of, forcing people into this position that, before with a lot of the games they were fighting for survival, but now they're actively making you take someone else's life to save your own. Yeah,
this really emphasizes kind of the savagery that humans can descend into in these situations where it's survival of the fittest and it's kill or be killed.
I think for me, what would have really pushed this into being a better overall conclusion is I wish they had made more of the sort of connection between Ji-hoon, our main character, and the frontman.
Yeah.
that seemed like it was something that was destined to resolve itself in a face-off between the two that never comes about.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the scene of them where he finds out was a great scene. It felt like it was going to ramp up from there. But I think, yeah, there's something quite frustrating about, like, Ji-hun is just still stuck in these games and kind of has to play. I guess it just shows the fruitlessness of trying to, combat authority and trying to get out of these systems that are like, that's sort of the metaphor behind it all, is it's completely pointless to try and fight against all this.
It came down to that last game, and it comes down between him and the father of the baby, the one who lost all his money in crypto or whatever it was. That seemed like a weird pairing to be like the final, because they didn't really have a lot of interaction. They didn't really have a lot of... For me, it should have been he directly calls out the frontman, says, hey, like, you wore a number, you were a player in the game as well, you come here and you finish it. And that should have been the final sort of face-off between those two.
Yeah, that would have been good. Yeah, they should have found a way to have a bit more of an epic showdown, I guess. But instead it was with him and MG Coin.
Because like the first one, like season 1, the ending is so good because they have a personal history and they have a lot of interaction, and like he turns out to be not the person that he thinks he is. And that there's much more like weight to their confrontation at the end. It's just like they kind of seem like they were teasing it. There's a lot of mirroring. It almost becomes like a personal quest of the front man to push him to the point to prove that actually, no, given in these situations, people do like lose their humanity. Whereas Ji-hun's whole story is like, given everything he's gone through, he still shows by the end that he's willing to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And there's this kind of through line of he is... it shows his past, because he was kind of like, he was the first winner of the games and then eventually became the front man, and it shows his experience in the games and how when he was given a choice to make things easy for himself, he took it, and like that's the moment that he kind of lost himself. And I feel like they should have made more of that it became the story of him trying to drive Ji-hun to finally snap and go over the edge and prove that he's right.
A tragic end for Ji-hun, but I think logically made sense what they did in terms of, he finally had the chance to at least just save one life after losing like everyone that he wanted to save in this game. But yeah, just that final episode, I think most of the flaws are just in that final episode. I feel like the rest of the series, the build up to it was just great. I think there's a lot of stuff it just didn't manage to wrap up or didn't come to fruition. There's the whole boat storyline that kind of ended up not really mattering.
Just sort of ends like
he just kind of shows up and is like,
yeah,
oh, and then it just explodes and he has to get out of there.
I think we talked about it in season 2. I said that the way the show was destined to end was in a 3-way kind of confrontation between those 3 guys.
Yeah, but they're never in the same room at the same time.
No.
I thought what was going to happen is Ji-hun was put in this impossible position where he had to sacrifice himself for the baby, but then lo and behold, our policeman on the boat was going to turn up right at the last moment, save him. But it was not to be. Turned up like a minute too late.
I get that it's kind of like there's been a narrative push like the whole time. It's like a very anti-capitalist show, and it's kind of... they push the whole, no matter what you do, like the big higher power is going to keep you down, is going to have their way. It ends on like a note of like, he technically gets what he wants. He stops the games from proceeding any further, but ultimately like he has to make the ultimate sacrifice to stop that. And then it's kind of, we get the big reveal of actually this isn't just a thing that's happening in Korea, it's international. So it's a drop in the water of like, even though you stopped this one, it's a much bigger thing than you could have imagined.
Yeah. Instead, right at the end of this one, I was just thinking, hey, that's Cate Blanchett, I think.
But weird that they kind of got her for just this one scene, nothing else.
Although they're apparently doing an
English language one,
American one.
I don't know whether that's...
David Finch is involved, which is going to be random.
I was going to say, I don't know if that's like its own thing, its own spin-off, or if it's like specifically just a remake of the original show.
Yeah, I would hope they would do something different with it. But presumably it'll just be another version of the games with like, I guess, American kid games.
Well, because that was the thing I said that was kind of weird at the end, is that they're playing the paper throwing game. Even though that's very specific to like Korean, like that's a Korean childhood game.
Yeah, that's not a game.
It should have been something in American
culture. Yeah.
I guess the ending's more like it's it's quite clever in that it's a very like it's how you interpret it. It's kind of like, do you see it as, oh, like the games are international, ultimately his sacrifice meant nothing, or do you see it as that glimmer of hope of like this one person had the strength and the willpower to take on the system and ultimately shut it down, and it kind of gives you hope of, even though this is happening in other places across the world, then there could be more people like that.
Yeah, but yeah, a bit of a conflicting season towards the end. It was always going to be a hard series to land, I think, but the way they managed to bring the games back, I think, was interesting. I just think we lost a lot of the interesting characters very quickly.
Like some of them like I feel like as entertaining as he was, carrying Thanos into season 3 would have been a bad choice. Because of the gravity of the situation, he would have been just too like fun and too silly.
Yeah. He was perfect comedy relief for season 2,
Yeah.
but yeah, it got way darker this series.
It almost like maybe a little bit of villain overload, I guess. You're right. Yeah, no, it did perhaps seem like there was maybe a little bit of like villain overload in a way, like these past couple of series. Like with the first one, it was clearly defined. There was sort of the guy was like a gangster, and he was very much like the outwardly presenting villain that like he never shied away from it. He never never hid it. And then the guy who makes it to the end with Ji-Hun is kind of like the secondary villain who ultimately takes the main villain role, but he's more kind of like scheming and manipulative in the background throughout. Whereas like this time around you had Thanos, and then you had his friend who kind of takes over that role afterwards. You had the old guy who was like being a piece of shit. You had fucking MG Coin who kind of takes that role at one point.
And we have way more focus on the front man as well as like
yeah,
the big villain. Yeah, I think because they introduced this kind of voting aspect in this game, which made for some great stories. But yeah, I think that just naturally created a lot more villains because it was like a good side and a bad side, essentially. Like
kind of,
the ones that want to go and understand this is bad, the ones that want to stay, although a lot of them were pressured. But yeah, there was these kind of ringleaders. But I guess they had a lot more time to develop in this version of the games because we had 2 seasons of it rather than 1. So yeah, it's a plus in that you get more attached to the characters and their deaths are more impactful. You know, like those deaths in the hide and seek episode. Are some of the like most devastating in the series as a whole, I think. But yeah, it means that just you're also more likely to just get sick of certain characters, and there's like the fucking old man. I was so sick. I was like, how is he still here?
How is he still here? How has he made it literally to the end?
Literally to the final one. A lot of interesting things going on. They generally managed to juggle these characters well. I think that's a real strength of the series. Is I think all these characters are very well developed despite there being so many of them. Yeah, mostly good. Didn't manage to stick a couple of landings. But overall, you know what, I enjoyed it, and I think the series as a whole is going to go down as a great one.
And just because we haven't addressed the elephant in the room, the dubbing for the VIPs...
Can they stop that?
And the CGI...
For the CGI baby.
Both quite atrocious.
And the dog. CGI dog.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's our selection for July.
Another
Is
month.
that right? Yep.
Another money, as they say in the business world.
Not for me. Where's this money coming from?
Yeah, fucking hell.
I'm broke as hell. Thank you for watching HAZMAT, reviewing every new film or series they watched in the last month.
If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see us do more stuff like this in the future, you can support the channel by leaving a like or a comment. You can hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. That way you'll be alerted to all our more recent uploads. And as always, all of our socials will be listed down in the description.
And join us next time where I start a job at the Daily Planet and just write really hammy tabloid articles about celebrities and their dogs.
And I think I'm going to go check out that new Marvel. It's supposed to be nuts.
I hear it's nuts.
I hear it's nuts.